It's Powertools, and we got Layton Giordani in the house. How you doing, my man?
Doing good, bro. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
It's good to have you here. We've been wanting to have you on the show for a minute. I know you're just coming off the Coachella vibes. That had to be amazing for you. I mean, you've had like collabs with Beyer, Green Velvet, High Low, releases, of course, on DrumCode, Nervous, remix Dom Dollar, which I thought was huge, Dead Mouse. And let's talk about Coachella. Like, that had to be a moment for you, right, in your career?
Yeah, I mean, Coachella is like, I don't know, Cascades at its best. It's the festival that can make or break careers. You play Coachella, it can really change everything for you. So
Right.
I did the Yuma tent.
Yeah.
I was playing at 3 p.m., a very early slot, and we hit maximum capacity. Everybody showed up, and to me, that was the, most amazing thing I could ever experience, to be honest.
Right.
It was pretty sick. So.
And is that like, when you're, maybe like 5 years ago, was that like a goal? Or was that almost unachievable? Like, where did that sit for you?
So, I mean, like, I was touring Europe and I had so many aspirations and goals, and I kind of hit that peak a few years ago. And then, like, I would never thought about Coachella because I was more of an underground artist.
Right.
And then once we started talking about Coachella and we're like, this is a possibility, I was like, okay, this is getting crazy out of hand. And then before you know it, they're asking you, do you want to play the Yuma tent? And I'm just like, it's all kind of like unreal and not like something I could imagine,
Right.
like a couple years out.
That is sick. So let's go back to the beginning of Layton Giordani, and I want to understand, like, where did you find your passion for dance music? What made that click for you? Because you're from New York. Mm-hmm. Was it going to some of the classic clubs back then? What got you into techno, into house?
Yeah, so like basically growing up, like before I was a teenager, I was, originally from Canarsie, Brooklyn, and then I moved to Long Island in my teen years, and they used to have these things called teen nights in New York City. So like Pacha, New York City, Cielo, New York City, you'd be able to be like 16 to 18 to 19 and go to
Right.
these infamous clubs. So like I would go there and they would have Danny Tenaglia playing
For teen night?
for teen nights. They
That's
would have Eric Murillo, the guys
Right.
that do tech support. That guy used to throw parties for the younger generation. They don't do it anymore, but
Right.
I was lucky to be a part of that. So once I turned like 18, 19, I was just like locking in the studio, and I would just go to Pacha, New York City every weekend. I mean, I would see Murillo, Danny Tenaglia, Victor Calderon, these classic
Victor
house.
Calderon,
yeah,
right.
I mean, like he's close family friends to me now, but yeah, I mean, I learned about house and techno through those guys.
That's amazing. So then eventually you moved to Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
To like work with DrumCode. Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah, so as I was getting into the scene in New York City, I started doing a lot of like opening parties, and I was producing a lot. I made like a good local name for myself. And one day I was playing with Beyer in Pacha, New York City, and I had a USB, and my friend knew Adam's TM or whatever, I forget how it was connected, but I had a USB, and I was like, okay, can you get me in the booth with Beyer? I want to give him a USB, and I gave him a USB, and I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
And then like a couple weeks later, he was headlining Awakenings in Amsterdam, and he played all the tracks.
Wow.
And then I was just like emailing, I was like, hey, does this mean you want to sign me? Do you want to sign me? Do you want to sign me? And then like a month went by, and he's like, I love all your music. Like, let's hop on a call. Let's discuss. And then from there, I got signed to DrumCode, and they actually offered to manage me, and Adam took me under his wing, and they said, listen, if you want to be with the label and everything, let's do it properly and get you out to Amsterdam, and you can tour with us.
That's crazy. That had to be a crazy 4 year, or at least the first year.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in Amsterdam, I'm with DrumCode. Like, that has to be sick.
It was such an unreal thing. Like, can you imagine me being like 21, 22, telling my mom, I'm going to move to Amsterdam to be a big DJ. She was like, what? I don't believe in any of this.
Right.
And it's like, to me, even the first 2 years, like I was just living in a completely different city and just like touring on the weekends. I was playing like opening slots, but I was like playing the biggest shows in Europe at that time. And it was just like I mean, still when I think about it, I don't know what I did in a past life or whatever to get as lucky as I did, but it's sick.
And what did you learn from that experience being kind of thrown into the European scene? What did you learn that you maybe hadn't seen in the States?
I would say, well, I wouldn't say I really learned much in the States because I just got thrown into the market starting from Europe, you know?
Right.
So it was like, I just kind of learned through Adam, and Adam's, you know, he's a techno icon. And what I learned from him is just, you know, be transparent with everything, be humble, you know, remember where you come from, and, you know, keep your relationships going, and, you know, stay true to your sound, your underground, your heart. And, you know, he always would say to me every time, every 6 months, he's like, something big's going to happen for you. And he's like, I can promise, like, your career's going to take off at one moment. And he's like, I hope I'm there for that moment. And that's something that we always kind of went back on.
That's dope. And then I noticed, like, going through, you know, once I saw the years that you had left and going through your Spotify, that when you came back to the States, it seemed like you started to, like, introduce house elements into your techno, creating, I think, this real cool fusion sound. Can you talk about, was it the States that came back? You're like, okay, I gotta get that New York swing, or you know what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, it's like growing up as a DJ in New York, you know, I grew up on house music.
Right.
I got into techno, and then, you know, when I was in Europe, like, I still did house sets when I would play Ibiza and stuff like that. Right. But I think it was just me growing into my own place. When I came back into the US, I was like, let me do my house thing now. Let me combine everything and just kind of do what I want, you know. Also, like, Green Velvet helped guide me tons, and he's you know, one of the founding guys of house, you know.
100%.
So I think I was just taking my experiences from Adam and Curtis, Green Velvet, and just making my own little house techno cocktail.
Right. And that's what you have right now. And I think it's like, it really, like, stands out because you're mixing both elements. Like, it's, you know, you could hear your influences from, like, the Green Velvet and Adam, like you talked about, and some of the Danny Tenaglia stuff, and you know, which is really interesting. And when you were in New York, before you went to Amsterdam, you had a residency at Output, right?
Yeah. I would say that was my biggest residency ever. I mean, my first official residency, I was doing Brooklyn Output shows, like, every weekend. From, like, Carl Cox, John Digweed,
right? You
know, like Danny Tenaglia,
right.
Adam Beyer. So I think, you know, it's very important to become an opener DJ before a main stage DJ, in my opinion.
Talk to us about that. Why is that important?
I think it's a lost art, personally, but I think it's very important because there's something to be said about nightclubs and creating a flow throughout the night, and not just being on at 9 p.m. with nobody and just smashing it out.
Right.
I think it's very important to create a vibe and worry about the crowd and creating an energy from scratch, building it up, getting to its peak, not worrying about the headline DJ that's on after you and you outshining that DJ, and just kind of creating that, you know.
So it teaches you the arc.
Exactly.
That you can apply in your sets today.
Yeah. Also, though, it helps you unwind sets too, because, like, you could play a crazy peak set, and then towards the end of the night, if you want to keep people there and keep people in this, like, hypnotic groove, you kind of start to tone it back down, and you get to the deep house and the dark stuff, you know. And there's just a lot to be said from starting from zero to full to closing it out. I think there's a whole scale of DJ sets that can be learned from, like Dan Tenaglia, Victor Calderon. They've done 9 to 12-hour sets. And you don't just do that playing bangers the whole time. You got to build the flow and get everyone in it. And then you got to keep them in it, and you got to keep going through the waves and the motions. Right. So, yeah.
That's dope that you got to experience that at an early age, to have that understanding than just, I'm going to come to the festival and bang it out for 50 minutes.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So you're working on some, you got some exciting stuff coming out. Rumor has it you have a Camel Fat remix. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so a lot of people have been talking about it. I did the original Act of God with Linny and Sarah DeWarn, and I did a remix for Camel Fat years ago when they did their first album, and I was like waiting for that moment to say, hey, listen, it's your turn to do a remix. And I just knew it in my bones this was the track.
Right.
And I asked them, and they heard it, like, absolutely. And like 2 weeks later, they made iconic remix.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm super stoked to have that.
That's exciting. What else are you working on right now?
I'm working on a lot. I have a new collab with Anima that we've been testing. He premiered it back-to-back with Solomon at Ultra Music Festival.
Right.
That was a pretty big moment. I got a really cool collab with Green Velvet. It's called When It Kicks.
Nice.
That's going to be really cool. I have a new single called Destiny. That's going to come out on Afterlife.
Okay.
I got a lot of music. Putting me on the spot. I don't remember everything at the moment.
Not all the music that's coming out. I like to ask this too. All the music that's coming out, is this music that you did the year prior, or do you continue to work on stuff for that year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like make like 3 tracks a month, I would say. So I kind of just make a bunch of music and then I just like sit with it, breathe with it. But all the music I make, I try to intend to make it to come out within like, you know, the next 3 to 6 months, if possible.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
You like to be more of the moment type.
I think so. Because, I mean, if you're making music and like you're making it in a moment, I mean, you can make music and, you know, release it 12 months later, or a year later, 2 years later. But I feel like that vibe or that energy that you're in, it's kind of cool to put it out during that moment that you're feeling.
Right.
Because, I mean, for me as a producer, like, I feel like I always shift through different, you know, I would say styles. Like I have my style, but I'll have different styles. Like, for example, if I make like a summer beat, if I'm making something that I want to do in the summer, it would be better for it to come out during the summer than it to come out during the winter, you know?
Right.
So I try to have, you know, a time frame in mind.
And let's talk about one of your biggest remixes is the artist Luffy?
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about that. I will say that's where I was like, holy crap. Like I felt like you went somewhere completely else. And that, I think that remix really resonated with a lot of people. Talk to us about that song. Remixing that.
So yeah, I mean, remixing that was really funny because so that track originally came out on Nervous Records, and Nervous Records is from New York.
Yep.
Before I was, you know, a big producer or whatever, DJ or whatever, I was working with Nervous Records. I would play for Nervous Records parties when I was like 18 years old. So like, I heard that Luffy track come out. I was like, it kind of like rekindled that old flame I had with them. And I was just like, or in my head, I was like, I felt triggered, like I needed to get involved. And I just hit them up instantly. I was like, I love this vocal. I love this track. I need to work on it. I was like, can you get me the stems? And then like, I got the stems like an hour later. And then that same night, I was just like working on it. And I think by the end of the night, I had like 2 minutes done and I posted a story. And then Anima's like, dude, this sounds sick. And I was like, okay. I was like, are you doing a remix? And he was thinking about doing a remix. So I was like, okay, let's just lock in the studio and try to do this together. And then I would say like in the course of 3 days, we had that done, ready to go.
And that's not a sound that Nervous would normally put out as well, which is crazy.
No. I think it was just we were all very excited because like Mike Nervous, who owns the label, is like, you know, he's seen me grow up. He knew me before I went to Europe. Yeah, so like he knows me from way back then. He knew me when I was like selling tickets, you know, stuff like that. So I think he was excited to work with me, and it was like it's a surreal moment to kind of let all those years go by and now come back and
have one of their biggest records, their biggest moment to be on Nervous.
Yeah, and the good thing is like the remix just did like shockingly well as well. Right. So it was like we patted each other on the back and it was like that was amazing, you know? It was full circle moment, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you got coming up that you want to talk about? Any tours on the way? Album in the works?
I beg my management to do an album, but we're probably going to save it for next year.
Okay.
If I get like a...
Because you already have 2 underneath your belt.
Yeah.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
at your age.
Yeah, so I think next year I will do an album, but it's going to be on my own terms and my own record label and something with my imprint and really come from me inside and out, like just fully me in every aspect, you know?
Right.
As far as festivals, we're pretty much doing EDC,
right,
all that stuff. I don't know what I can and can't talk about. EDC Orlando, Vegas,
right.
Closing the
You're gonna be everywhere.
Yeah, basically. I'm stoked about that. And I'm gonna be doing some really special shows in New York and LA.
Okay.
My biggest shows of my career. Not allowed to talk about just yet, but they're as big as they get.
Okay.
So
nice.
Pretty stoked on that.
Well, it's awesome having you on the show. I mean, I love all the music you're doing. I think you have a really fresh, really cool approach and sound. And yeah, man, we're looking forward to the album next year. And anytime, as your songs come out, we'll be renting them here on Powertools.
Of course, bro. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Powertools.